The attempt of attempting to go harder is all you need to do. That's the key to muscle growth. Coach Greg, and today I'm going to be responding to a video done by Nalewanyj, I think. It's titled, "Is Greg Doucette's advice actually legit? My analysis." Well, obviously the answer is going to be yes. So I don't even know I'm going to bother watching this, but I'm assuming he's not an idiot and he's going to agree with everything I say, because if he doesn't, obviously I'm going to call him out and tell him he's a moron. So hopefully he knows that what I say is legit. So let's watch and find out.
Gregoire Doucette, aka Greg Doucette. Is he really correct 99.7% of the time?
But it's actually 99.5. So I know I'm being pedantic, but hey, I need to be right 99.6. I need to get my ranking up. Okay, I gotta start being right more often because I gotta get back closer to 100%.
I'm gonna be doing a review of 3 of the most common pieces of fitness advice that I've seen him give. So the first is his sort of main catchphrase, train harder than last time. The second is his constant emphasis on low calorie dense foods. And third is his recommended approach of main gaining rather than doing traditional bulking and cutting cycles.
I'm surprised calories in, calories out didn't make the top 3 list. I would have had it in the top 3, but certainly these are 3 big ones out of probably 100 different things that I talk about in all of my videos.
So the first main piece of Greg Doucette wisdom is the idea of training harder than last time. Now, is this really necessary?
Well, it's necessary if you want to get your maximum results. It's not necessary if you just want to train for fun. So it depends. Do you want to be all you can be, or do you just want to be?
Now, one thing Greg constantly mentions is the fact that most average lifters in the gym just don't train hard enough. They train like pussies, as he says.
And we're talking about pussycats. She's right over there. Girl Skitten. She lays there all day, lays there. She doesn't train at all hard. Kind of like most people who go to the gym. They train like Girl Skitten.
Back when I was in my teens and early 20s, I was really firmly rooted in the sort of high intensity training style where training hard and going to all out failure on every single set is pretty much the central focus of the entire philosophy. So I really do understand what it means to train hard.
And he does a much better impersonation of training to failure than Jeff Cavaliere. With that real 45 pounds aside, he was doing it for real. Versus Jeff Cavalier's like, oh, fake plate, I'm training hard, grimace face. And guess what? I do in fact think that this Sean guy is natural. Showed his physique when he was younger. Very impressive physique. He's been continuously training. And unlike Jeff Cavaliere, he hasn't continued to improve with age. Okay, he's gotten older. He's gotten leaner, probably from being in a calorie deficit or trying to maintain. He's trying to get leaner. He's not bulking, and he's just improving in terms of definition, but he doesn't have more size, and he's not like freakishly much more developed than he was at a younger age.
What about the idea of training harder than last time? Is that really necessary? The answer is yes. If you want to continue gaining more and more muscle over time, then you have to continue pushing your muscles to higher and higher levels of stress over time. In other words, you have to achieve progressive overload, which is basically the #1 thing I've constantly hammered in my videos and my articles right from the start.
The ultimate foundation for building muscle size and strength is progression.
Hey, look at this. He was in 2009. He was a chubbier version of himself. One thing I like about this guy is his consistency. He's continuing to share the same information over time, over 11 years. He doesn't just go with the trend. Oh, it's a fad this year. Do you do this? And this year it's another fad, and do that. A lot of times people just say whatever you want to hear, not what you need to hear. You need to train harder to keep making the gains. You can't just go RP5 and deload every other Sunday and make gains. Now, can you? Well, you can for a little bit, but you can't make maximal gains unless you train harder than last time.
However, I would say that it's important that we clarify what training harder actually means, because I think that there can be some confusion there due to the wording of it.
Let's clarify what training harder actually means. Harder means you look at last workout and you say, how hard did I train that workout? And then on this workout, you say, I'm gonna train harder than that workout. Well, no, could you be more specific? Yeah. So the way you train that day, whatever it was, this day is a more. It's harder. It's extra. It's a heavier weight. It's an extra rep. It's an extra 0.1 of a rep. I felt like I went harder. Well, what if you don't know how many weights? You didn't track it. Yeah, I felt pretty hard there. This was a pretty hard and a bit. Harder. Don't need to get all technical. Harder means harder. And harder than that is harder. That's a scientific definition of harder than last time. And if you don't understand it, just ask Johnny Sims.
You don't need to be constantly increasing your proximity to failure from week to week. That's not even possible. If you did that, then by the time you were training for 6 months, you'd be taking every single set to failure, followed by a drop set, rest pause, forced rep, cluster set combo after every single one.
Well, technically speaking, and I don't mean to be pedantic, but I do, getting closer to failure is possible forever. You can continuously approach failure. If you go at 99% effort, can you go closer to 100%? Yep. 99.9, that's harder. What's harder than 99.9%? 99.99%, then 99.99%. You can approach infinity by doing that. 99.999999, you can still do that forever. So being pedantic, which I like doing, it's you can go harder than last time forever without actually technically approaching failure.
What training harder than last time actually means, or how I would advise doing it, is that the percentage of effort that you put forth on each set is generally about the same. So again, around 1 to 2 reps short of failure on most sets, with some to failure sets mixed in, but you're making the workouts more difficult and you are training harder by progressively overloading in some way.
Yes, it could be an extra rep on one set out of the 20 you did. It could be an extra half a rep. It could just be the same reps, but you went slower. It could be 1 rep less, but you slow down the eccentric. It's something that made it harder than last time. And how do you know? Because you just do. You say, yep, I went harder than last time. How do you know? You don't. You really don't. You just think you did. You just tried to. The act of trying to go harder than last time is in fact going harder than last time. If you tried, you succeeded. The attempt of attempting to go harder is all you need to do. That's the key to muscle growth. That's all you need to do. And of course, you go in there and you train smart. You don't freaking cheat and do stupid reps and get injured. You don't ego lift and put too much weight and do stupid stuff. You use good form. But you go there and you train harder than last time. It's easy. It's so easy. Just do that. I'm in the video. Look at the veins on that guy. That guy ain't natural. Look at those freaking veins. I bet you he's on trend. Probably trend. On his fake plates. He can't lift that fake plates. He faked hip operation. Clearly he's a liar. Look at this guy.
Greg Doucette guideline number 2 is that when trying to lose fat, you should focus on eating low calorie dense foods. So foods that have a higher amount of volume relative to the number of calories that they contain.
Exactly. You ever see me and Will try to eat 10,000 calories from my cookbook? Do you know how much of a nightmare that is versus he eats 20,000 calories when it's not from the cookbook? That's double the calories. And it's easier. You get it?
Now, I don't think that it's surprising that this is something I would agree with. I've always said that the key to fat loss is creating the most enjoyable and most sustainable calorie deficit that you possibly can. And I think most reasonable coaches, unless they're stuck in the bodybuilding dark ages and they're a complete moron, most would agree with that as well.
Actually, most bodybuilding coaches are in fact stuck in the dark ages and are morons. So he's saying unless they are. See, I'm right 99.55% of the time. I'm moving on up. All those other bodybuilding coaches, no, you need to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice. Why? Well, because Dorian Yates did. And because Ronnie Coleman did. So it has to be applying like that today. Because, well, Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates are bigger than you, Coach Greg. So it's because of the chicken, broccoli, rice. They pretty much think it, even though I could coach a Mr. Olympia competitor right now, eating from my cookbook, they'd probably improve their placings. They'd be more shredded, look better. Oh, no, they wouldn't. No, it's so wrong. No, I've never coached anyone to turn pro in my life. No, it only works when you're amateur. And then when you're pro, it's all different. It changes. You need to bulk. You need to bulk when you, no, it works big, yeah, it works when you're manlet, but when you're 6'4" or taller or above 233 pounds, then you need to dirty bulk. You need force feed. I mean, that's what these guys are arguing. That's the level of intellect that I have to debate with. You wonder why I'm right almost all the freaking time? Because that's not a challenge to debate with people that don't know anything.
Now, the one thing that I would say on this is that low calorie dense foods are not some kind of magic bullet either. If you're in a calorie deficit for an extended period, you are going to experience hunger to some extent, regardless of how much food volume you consume.
And yes, I agree with him. There's no actual magic food. It's why I say, whatever your dream physique is, get halfway there. You can get my freaking cookbook, and it's going to help for sure, but you're not going to look like Chris Bumstead. You're probably not going to even look like me. You likely won't even look like this guy who's Sean. You likely won't even look like Sean. You'll probably get halfway to your goal. If you have 50 pounds to lose, you're probably going to lose 25, but guess what? You're going to freaking keep it off this time. How many times have you tried to diet? Only to gain it all back, maybe even gain it and then some. The diet lets you lose weight and keep it off without being hungry. You think, yeah, there's no magic foods that you're still gonna be hungry. Yeah, if you try to lose too much. If you try to lose all 50 of those pounds to get your dream physique, eventually you're gonna get hungry. That means you're below your genetic set point. Everyone has a set point or a place they wanna be. For me, it's probably between 8 and 20%. It's a big range. And if I eat all low calorie dense foods, I can hover around 8%, maintain it without being hungry. Okay. If I eat high calorie dense foods, nuts, peanuts, not that it's unhealthy, avocados, lots of meats and stuff, high calorie stuff, not that it's unhealthy, a high fat diet, I'm going to be probably closer to 20% because I need to eat more of it. Okay. Instead of eating popcorn, if I'm eating chips, it's just going to make me want to eat more, and the calorie intake goes up, and then my maintenance level is going to be higher. I'm going to be a bigger guy, okay? If I need to eat 3,500 calories to feel full, my body weight goes up. If I stay lighter and I eat 3,000 calories, the lighter you get, the less food you need to maintain that. So even if you're following a low-calorie dense food diet, there's only so low your body's going to let you get. Stop thinking you can chase perfection and actually get it. You might be able to tag it for a little while. I got you, perfection, and you got your dream body. You lost the 50 pounds. You can't keep it. Eventually you get tired and you caught it and it flies away. And then you keep chasing it again. It's not worth it. Telling you firsthand, it is not worth it. I've been at 4% body fat. 4, that's very freaking shredded now, isn't it? 4. Couldn't maintain it. I could get it for a week and suffer immensely. Nightmare. Not worth it. 9% like now, 9% I can handle it. If I try to get down to 4 again, I can do it. I can chase it. And yeah, I gotcha. Now I'm tired. I can't do it anymore. I just can't, okay? That's going to happen to you. So don't try to lose too much weight. Try to lose some. Try to be healthier. Yes, try to be the best you that you can be. But the best you that you can be is not better than you can be. Better than you could be is something you can't sustain reasonably without starving and having no energy and ruining your life. You need to have a good life. You need to have fun on this planet. You need to not suffer and think you have to look like perfection to be happy. And here he is with a good physique, probably close to 12% body fat, looking quite lean, certainly leaner than when he was in his 20s. Not as ripped as Jeff Cavalier, who's 11 years older, but he's holding his own. And as I said, I do believe he is natural. Doesn't mean he never take HRT in the future. I just think right now he's probably natural.
But it's just about keeping that restriction at a healthy level and then doing everything that you can to mitigate the side effects. And low calorie dense foods are one highly effective way of doing that. All right, and lastly on the list, Greg Doucette's third common piece of advice, which is his approach of main gaining as opposed to doing traditional bulking and cutting cycles.
Should I bulk, cut, main gain? What should I do?
So this one's a little bit more complicated because I'm not 100% sure what Greg's exact stance on this is.
Well, it actually depends. If you're too lean, and like in the last example, like if you're 4% body fat and you're living a nightmare because you're too lean, you should gain weight and then main gain. If you're really overweight, you got 50 pounds extra weight on you, lose the 25, get to your maintenance level, then main gain. If you're already at maintenance that's pretty much making you happy, then main gain from there. It's as simple as if you're too skinny, too ripped, to have no energy, you need to eat a little bit more, then main gain. Or you're already at a good level, I'm at that good level, 9%. Main gain from here, or you're fatter than you want to be, 25, whatever, 50%, whatever, and lose some weight, get to your happy point, then main gain. That's what main gaining is. You do not need to bulk. You don't need to force feed. You don't need to get fat. You don't need to be in a big surplus of calories. You don't need to be in any real surplus. Eat to look the way you are, whatever percent that is, and keep it there. I've done a number of videos on this. I did one recently in regards to John Meadows talking about a certain amount of body fat that you need to have, and then you can gain a couple, then lose it and stay, and there's an optimal level of body fat. Watch these other videos. I don't have time to go over it all again. Main gaining is the way to go. You do not need to bulk. You have no muscle and you want some. You don't need to suddenly eat more. You do not need to suddenly add a bunch of calories to your diet, not even 100 or 200. If you're holding the amount of fat that you want and you look the way you want and you just want more muscle, just keep eating the same way. You don't need to say, oh, now I want more muscle. I'm just going to eat 200 or 300 calories more a day. Don't need to. Not necessary. You do it, you're gaining fat. Don't need to gain fat to gain muscle. Don't need to gain fat to gain muscle. If you're too lean, it benefits you to get a bit heavier. For men, maybe it's 15%. Maybe you need to be 15% to be in a good gaining zone. Maybe it's 10. Maybe you got freak genetics and it's 7. It's different for everyone. For women, probably 25%. Maybe it's 35. We don't know. It's different for everyone. Maybe you got freaky genetics and you can main gain on 15% body fat as a female. Maybe, I don't know. The point is, you will know. If you have energy to train, and you feel good, and you're not starving, you're eating enough. You are. If you're not, eat more.
So it seems to me that when Greg says not to bulk, what he's really saying is not to dirty bulk. So not to stuff your face.
No, I'm literally saying not to bulk, lean bulk, gain fat. To gain fat, you don't need to do that. Any kind of bulk means to gain fat. Main gain means to gain muscle without gaining fat. Don't switch the words on. Don't think you know what I mean. I literally mean main gain. From the word maintain, as in to maintain or keep body fat where it is. If I'm at 9% and I'm main gaining, my body fat stays at 9% and I increase muscle. If you're 20 years old with 15% body fat and you're 150 pounds, it could literally mean this. You stay at 15% body fat for the next 10 years, and 1 year you gain 4 pounds of muscle, the next you gain 3, then you gain 2, then you gain 1.5, then you gain 1, then 3/4 of a pound, then a half a pound, then a quarter pound, then you don't gain weight for the rest of your life. Or you take HRT or you add SARMs or you do something and you gain more weight. That's main gaining. Bulking means you're a 15% body fat and it went up 16, 17, 18 as you gain weight. It's that simple. I don't care if it's lean bulk, dirty bulk, whatever. If you're 5% body fat, you're too lean and you have no energy, gain some fat and then main gain.
I know it's tempting once you get into muscle building mode that you just want to go all out with it. And it also makes it easier to justify overeating because you can just tell yourself that you need all those extra calories to make the gains. But it's just not the reality because you really don't need a huge surplus to maximize your muscle growth over any given day anyway.
I mean, I completely agree with him on his opinion on the bulking part here. It's just people want to hear that. It sounds good. It's almost an excuse to binge. It's an excuse to go off the diet. And I'm in gaining mode. I need more food. I'm going to go to Wendy's. You hear it all the time. It's just extra fat that you're going to have to diet off later. And it's not healthy. So do us both a favor and don't bulk in the first place.
I think Greg's overarching point is just that there's no reason at all to get fat while you gain muscle, which is something that I completely agree with.
So really, to summarize it all, just train harder than last time while main gaining on a low-calorie dense food diet. It's that simple. If you don't know how to do that or you need some help, buy my freaking cookbook, training book, or books, and you got it made. Just buy the freaking books, listen to the advice in this video, and you got it made. It's that easy. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IB Pro. Blooping up 2 videos, bottom, then top. You know the drill. Watch them both. And until next time, I'm out.